Hi everyone, Rich Crescenti here with another in our series of videos making music with Melodyne, and today I'm very excited about part 2 in our series, further demonstrating the integration of Melodyne with ARA and Pro Tools. In part 1 of our series, we discussed how to instantiate Melodyne on a clip or on a track, and today what we're going to primarily be discussing is navigation. So that's opening and closing the window, dealing with playback, zooming, and scrolling. Now, I'm using Melodyne Essential today, which is now what comes bundled with Pro Tools. So I think we'll have a lot of new users who are excited to learn about all the ways to scroll and zoom and playback. However, even some seasoned Melodyne pros might benefit from this, as now with Melodyne integrated into Pro Tools, there are some different behaviors and some different workflows that you may want to adopt. Okay, so let's dive in and take a look. I've got this song right here. And I've got Melodyne already instantiated on a few tracks. It's on the snares, it's on the bass, and it's on the lead vocal. So first, let's discuss the Melodyne window. Now that Melodyne and Pro Tools are integrated together, Melodyne cannot and will not open in a separate window. It's part of Pro Tools, so it will be part of the Pro Tools window. The first and most obvious way to open it is with this tab on the lower left corner. If you'll see, it says Melodyne right there. And if I click on that, it opens the Melodyne window. Clicking on it again closes it. Another way to open and close the window is with the green light right here. Melodyne is indicated in the same area as Elastic Audio, and so I can click on this green light to open the window and click on it again to close the window. And even better, there's a shortcut for this. If you use Option 8, and by the way, this is Alpha 8 or Numeric 8, so this will work on a laptop. If you use Option 8, this opens the Melodyne window. And this Melodyne window can be resized, right? You can grab it right here and drag it up or down a little bit to change the size. And here's the really cool part. I like this feature a lot. You can choose a small size for your Melodyne window and open and close it with Option 8. However, we also have another feature that is Control Option 8, which toggles back and forth between this size window and the full size Melodyne window. So Control Option 8 will toggle between the larger and smaller Melodyne windows, and then Option 8 will open and close that window. Really easy ways to see it and then put it away if you don't want to use it anymore. Okay, now I'm going to open up that window again and look at it. We're on the snare right here. Let's say I want to move to the vocal. So I'll scroll down and find the vocal and I'll click on it right here. And you'll notice that nothing changed. This is a key factor, and I want to show you something right here. Within our options, we've got follow selection in DAW. You don't have to check this one, but I highly recommend that you do. When this is checked, now Melodyne will change and switch over to follow whatever you have selected. So if I select the vocals, they're right there. If I come over and I select that snare track that I was talking about earlier, we see the snare track from there. Let's come back down to these vocals right here. Okay, so now that we see how to open this window and we know how to follow this DAW selection, let's talk a little bit about playback. Now these are integrated again, so there's some really cool features that I like right here. We can still use the space bar, and the space bar, just like with Pro Tools, right, will play whatever clip is selected right here or wherever your playback cursor is, like so. Easy does it now, easy does it now. Great, so I can play just like I normally would in Pro Tools. I can also come anywhere I want within this Melodyne window, and double clicking in the background of the edit window gives you playback of this track only. So it works kind of like a solo, right? So I can click here. Been to the valleys and the peaks. However, I can also use the Melodyne timeline right here to play as well. Double clicking right here. Been to the valleys and the peaks. So as you can see, double clicking in the timeline on Melodyne plays the whole track. Double clicking in this background window will give us playback of just that track alone. So it's a nice way to switch back and forth between listening to the track in solo and listening to the entire song. Very cool. Now, when we have a selection like so, right, you'll notice that this is what we have. We have this selection. We can also make a selection in the Melodyne timeline right here, and that selection will be matched right here, again, because we have follow selection in DAW. So we can build a loop either in Pro Tools or we can build a loop inside Melodyne here as well. And double clicking on this gets rid of that selection inside Melodyne, but keeps it inside in this window in Pro Tools. Very, very useful and cool. Okay, now since we're talking about playback, what I want to move back to again is scrolling. And this means the way that you can move around and find the right areas to playback that you want. Melodyne offers lots of ways to scroll around. I have a mouse with a scroll wheel, so this is some of the first ones that I use, right? I use the scroll wheel up and down, allows you to move up and down within this track right here. Holding down Shift allows you to move back and forth. We can also right click and come over here to your scroll tool and drag and move around. And move back to my main tool right here. You'll also notice that we have bars on the bottom, which allows you to grab this bar and move horizontally, right? And I like this because at the bar right here, you can see a waveform of the full track, right? So you get kind of an overview of that whole track right there. And you can drag this wherever you want this one to go. There's also a vertical one, which is right over here on the side. Excellent for scrolling as well. Now, Melodyne also has a feature that's called auto scroll. So if you want that on, you can go to your options and come over here to where it says auto scroll and turn that on. You can tell that it's on with this icon in the lower right hand corner. This icon, when it's bathed in white like this, auto scroll is on. So watch what happens, right? If I come over here and I just double click right here with auto scroll on.
Easy does it now. Easy does it now.
You'll notice that Melodyne scrolled to the next window. If I come over here and click on this icon and turn auto scroll off when I press play,
easy does it now, easy does it now, easy.
Melodyne will not scroll. Now there's another cool feature that I want to show you, which is if you have auto scroll on, but have something on the screen selected, look at this icon right here, right? This icon looks like auto scroll that is kind of broken, which means it's temporarily deactivated. So as long as this blob is selected, it won't scroll, but you can turn that off at any time by clicking in the background. Here's an example. With this blob selected, watch, it will not scroll.
Now, easy does it now, easy does it now, easy does it now.
And by clicking anywhere on the screen, I eliminated that blob from selection and it turned auto scroll right back on. So this is a nice way without having to turn the function on and off. If you don't want to scroll, just select a note and the scrolling will stop. Okay, great. So now let's talk a little bit about zooming inside Melodyne. There's a couple of ways that we can do that here. For example, we can right click and use the zoom tool, right? Dragging down or to the right zooms in, dragging up or to the left zooms out, and that's vertically or horizontally, whatever you need right there. We also have the ability to double click, right? If I were to click any one of these with this zoomer tool selected, if I click any one of these blobs, double click, excuse me, it will move that blob right to the center. You can then double click anywhere outside of the blobs and we go right back to the zoom level that we had before. You can also use these bars on the bottom and on the sides, and if you grab the outer portion of that bar, you'll notice that you can change the zoom level with that bar right there. And another useful thing that you can do is double click to reset that zoom. So if I double click here, it resets to show the zoom of the whole song. Here's something that's really important, right? And this is, we've got a feature right here that is called zoom to selection. And this is another feature, and you may want to keep this one turned on as well. When this is turned on, whatever we have selected inside Melodyne or inside Pro Tools will also be followed with Melodyne. So if I select here, we get the whole clip. If I zoom in and select this right here, that's what it zooms to. So wherever your zoom level is in Pro Tools, it will follow it inside Melodyne. Very, very, very cool. Doesn't follow it vertically though all the time. So here's something you can be aware of. For example, if I come look at this bass, there's no bass there, and it's there. It's just that the vocals that we are on existed higher up in the frequency range. So you can also always reset your vertical zoom by coming over here to this bar on the side and double clicking on it just like that. Okay, great. Now I showed you two of these options over here, follow selection in DAW and zoom to selection in DAW. I want to talk about the shortcuts for that. Melodyne is excellent for shortcuts. You can always come to your settings and go to preferences. And it starts out with miscellaneous, but you can go to shortcuts right here. And let's say I want follow, right? So I just type in follow and we've got follow selection in DAW. That's Alt F, Option F if you're a Mac user, right? So I know that is the quick key for that. If you want to change that, you can. And if you try something like Command F and hit close, it will switch to that. So it's really easy to change whatever you want your particular shortcuts to be. I'm going to set this back to Alt F, and then I'm going to switch over to find zoom. And here we see zoom to selection in DAW. This does not have a quick key. So I'm going to click on it right there and hit Control Z for zoom. And now I can turn that back on and off with Control Z. So very easy to set and change shortcuts inside Melodyne. I like this a lot. Okay. Now there's another really cool feature that I want to show you. I'm going to come back to my vocals right here. And this is more of a Pro Tools feature, but it is a really useful way to be able to see the information you want. When I click on this clip, because of the way that we have zooming selected, Melodyne will zoom to that. And again, if I want to reset my vertical zoom, I can just double click right there and it will reset it. However, this doesn't show us the full clip in Pro Tools. So this is a Pro Tools shortcut for you. Over here in Pro Tools, we have this little gold A to Z button. These are called your keyboard focus. If this one is turned on, Pro Tools gives us lots of single key edit functions. And there's a zoom toggle that is the letter E. If I hit E, it will take this clip and fill up the available Pro Tools window with this. If I hit E again, that goes back to the zoom level we were at before. I like this because now I can have the full window in Pro Tools and the full window match that in Melodyne as well. One more quick Pro Tools shortcut that I really, really like is that sometimes we may be zoomed in on something inside Melodyne, and maybe I want to listen to a different part of the song, but I don't want to lose where I am right here. And maybe what I really want to do is compare this portion of the song to a different portion of the song, but I don't want to lose this zoom level because I'm editing right here. And this is where we can take link timeline and edit selection. That's this button right here. We can turn this off. If I turn this off, we can now play back in two different parts. You'll notice that I've got this selection right here and it's highlighted right here. But if I want to listen to a different part of the song, I can come up into my timeline and highlight right there. And now we've got this selection and this selection in the timeline, this selection in the track and this selection in the timeline. And this is where you can use the brackets inside Pro Tools. The left bracket
Run away, don't run away.
plays your track selection. The right bracket plays your timeline selection. So a very useful way to be able to jump back and forth between 2 points in Pro Tools. Hope you've enjoyed this today. Thanks.